The updated injury list for Essendon is out. We're going to have a look at that and what it means and talk about a couple of other things right now. So some other news floating around today. Caroline Wilson was reporting that Paul Little would like James Hird to be the coach of Essendon again. These kind of reports are just not helpful. Even if there are a group of people that want this to happen, it's not going to happen and it shouldn't happen. Essendon need to move on from this. Even if you're a James Hird fan, you know, that door has shut a little while ago and it's just not helpful. And it just makes Essendon look like they're stuck in the past as well. You know, not that we need to make decisions based on what other people think of us, but it just fuels that look of Essendon that there's a group of people at the club or a group of supporters that sort of want to return to the glory days and are hell-bent on Essendon people doing it and will undermine people at the club currently. It's just not helpful when this sort of news is out there. I think it's got almost zero chance of happening. You know, the two of them, Hird and Brad Scott, will be on Channel 9 tonight. I think it's just a bit of a rubbish story. At least I hope it's a rubbish story. It would require all sorts of stuff to happen. You know, there need to be a change of the board, all these sort of things. You know, we've just appointed Brad Scott earlier in the year. So these things really are really fueled by a minority of people at the club. And Essendon's probably done a pretty good job over the last couple of years trying to, you know, rid the club of a lot of those, you know, toxic people that are sort of stuck in the past, and their intentions are always good. People's intentions with these things are always good because they think, it's like anything, it could be in politics or anything. People think they're doing what's right in their own mind, right? I don't think they are, but they think they're doing what's right. So it'll be interesting to see what they have to say on Channel 9 tonight. Anyway, I think it's really just a story about nothing, but anyway, it is what it is. It's out there, and, you know, the club has to deal with it. As for the injury report, it's not too bad. It's getting smaller and smaller. We'll go through the players now. Jordan Ridley is 6 weeks away with a hamstring. It was a high-grade hamstring. He suffered that in round 8. He is obviously very injury-prone, has been injury-prone through his career. It's probably just something that we're going to have to accept with him. Some players are just like that. They can't get over and get a good run at it. So it's just something that's going to be the case for him probably for the rest of his career. He's got 6 weeks to recover, so he's not due back till about round 17 or so. Harrison Jones is to be confirmed. He's got that ankle injury. This was pretty much regarded as a 2 to 3 month injury. They don't quite know. I've done an ankle before like that, and yeah, once the swelling goes down, it's a bit hard to until the swelling goes down, you don't really quite know how long it's going to keep you out for. But he's gone for at least a couple of months. Jaden Nguyen, who suffered a foot injury in the VFL, a foot stress fracture, he'll be out for 7 more weeks. This is disappointing news for him because he was playing all right in the VFL. He was basically being given, for those that don't know, he's basically been playing in the back line, given a job each week on the opposition small forward, and was doing a pretty good job. You know, but it doesn't come at a great time, this, because we're going to have about 4 extra players. A great time for him, actually, because we've got 4 extra players going to join the club in the next week or so. 3 or 4 players in the mid-season draft, which puts a lot of pressure on players who are on the fringe, like Jaden. So, not a great time to do your foot. He will be back towards the end of the season to push his case to stay on the list and push his case to maybe get a game at the end of the year. We don't know. We'll see how it all goes. Jade Gresham is not on the injury report. We're listing him here because he was injured or was on the injury report last week and the week before. Has been 1 to 2 weeks away. He is right to resume this week if selected. We don't know if he'll be selected, of course. He hasn't been in great form. He had a minor abductor strain. He sustained that in round 8. So he'll be available for selection. I reckon he'll be on the cusp. He's got every chance of being a bench player or maybe first emergency, something like that. I don't think he's a certainty to play this week. Darcy Parish, the other one, who for 2 weeks now has been right to go. But unfortunately, he couldn't play in the VFL because the VFL had a bye on the weekend. So he's right to be back. He'll be playing in the VFL this week, so we'll be watching him closely. Brad Scott was asked in his press conference today whether Darcy Parish would play in the senior team, and he didn't rule it out. But to be fair to Brad, he then did say that it's most likely that Parish will be playing in the reserves. I think Parish probably would be playing. I'd play him 2 games in the reserves. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you'd do with Parish. The reason I'd play Parish a couple of games in the reserves, even though he's right to go, and you may think, well, just play him the one. Obviously, he's a quality player, and he's a senior 18 player. But he is a player that, and I've mentioned this before, sort of builds into a season after he's been injured, and he's sort of at his best 2 to 3 weeks after an injury. He's not normally at his best first game back. He's normally at his best maybe third game back. So I reckon the best thing to do with Darcy is to play him 2 games in the VFL and then bring him back the week after that for a third one. That's personally what I'd do with Darcy Parish. So we'll be watching the VFL game closely this week to see how he goes. I wonder if he'll just play the full game. I think he probably will. By all reports, he's been, engaging in full training, hard training for the last week or so, especially given that there was no reserves game on the weekend. And then, of course, we have the 4 injuries, long-term injuries to the rest of the players that we are aware of. Sam Draper, the Achilles injury, Lewis Hayes, ACL, Nick Bryan with his ACL, and of course Tom Edwards out for the season with an ACL. So if you take out the 4 players who are on the long-term injury list, or the inactive list as the AFL call it, and those players will be replaced in a week with the mid-season draft, we only really have 3 players on the list: Jaden Nguyen, Harrison Jones, and Jordan Ridley. So that is the Essendon news for Tuesday. The injury report always comes out this time. I guess it's probably good news. We're starting to get some players back. I'm really keen to see how Darcy Parish goes. I'm critical of the fact that he hasn't been able to get on the park, but we all know what he can do. His 2021 season was pretty close to, winning the Brownlow medal. He could average over 30 possessions. Obviously, if he gets a good run at it, he's a pure footballer, player with a football brain. And he's the kind of player that, will definitely help our team in the middle of the ground. So I'd love to see Darcy Parish get back out there. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. And I hope he has a good game in the reserves this week. Touch wood. I hope he doesn't get injured, because that would be a disaster. And, so good luck to Darcy Parish this week. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you have any interesting things to say about the injury list? Your opinions about who should play this week? Your thoughts on the James Hird situation, or I would say this non-controversy, right? A controversy that's not really anything, but nevertheless, it's out there in the news. Let me know what you think of that situation. I'll leave it at that for now. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.
They all try their best, but they can't get near as the